Have you ever made a snap judgment? Or maybe held on to a belief like really tightly, even when evidence starts piling up against it?
Oh, absolutely. Or you see it in others, right? Like in debates about current events.
Exactly. Two people hear the exact same thing, but somehow walk away even more convinced they were right all along.
We all do it. It's often our own brains playing tricks on us without us even noticing.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something fascinating, maybe a little frustrating too. Cognitive biases.
These aren't just little quirks, are they? They're systematic patterns, actual errors in thinking that really shape our judgments and decisions every single day.
Yeah, and our mission today isn't just to, define them. We want to explore what they are, sure, but also where they come from, why they're so powerful.
And crucially, how we can spot them and maybe, just maybe, push back against them in our own lives.
Right. We've looked at insights from psychologists, mental health pros, even intelligence analysts. It all kind of builds on that foundational work by Kahneman and Tversky.
It really does. Their work in the 70s was groundbreaking. It showed us our brains, amazing as they are built for efficiency first.
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts, exactly. Mental rules of thumb heuristics. They work fast, but they can lead to these predictable, systematic mistakes.
And to really get a handle on these biases, we kind of have to talk about that famous idea Kahneman pushed. System 1 and System 2 thinking.
Yeah, that framework is key. Many people have heard of it. But understanding the tension between them is really important.
So System 1.
Think of System 1 as the autopilot. Fast, intuitive, automatic. It takes almost zero conscious effort.
Like knowing 2 plus 2 is 4. Or seeing a face you recognize.
Precisely. Or that jump you give when there's a loud noise, instantly assessing danger. It's brilliant for quick decisions, familiar situations. If I said bread and, your System 1 probably shouts butter before you even think.
Okay, automatic pilot. And System 2 feels different.
Totally different. System 2 is manual mode. Slow, deliberate, analytical. Needs attention, needs effort.
Like doing complex math or trying to remember where you left your keys?
Exactly. Or weighing pros and cons for a big decision. System 2 is supposed to be the monitor, the one checking System 1's gut reactions.
Okay, so if System 1 is fast and intuitive, and System 2 is slow and careful, where do the biases sneak in? Shouldn't System 2 catch them?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question, right? The catch is System 2 can be, well, lazy.
Lazy!
It takes real mental energy to engage it fully. So if System 1 throws up an answer that feels right, maybe because it's easy or you're feeling confident.
System 2 just nods it through.
Often, yeah. It defers to save energy. So a lot of decisions, even important ones, get made through that fast, intuitive System 1 lens without the tough questions System 2 could have asked.
So it's less about System 2 failing and more about it often just not stepping up, letting System 1 run the show.
That's a great way to put it. And while those System 1 shortcuts are sometimes vital, dodging that falling branch, they also lead to distorted thinking, bad calls, misinterpretations that we then dig our heels in about.
The brain trying to be efficient, but cutting corners.
Exactly. Too many corners sometimes.
Okay, let's unpack some of those corners. We've picked out a few heavy hitters that really impact us daily. You see them everywhere, from personal stuff to huge global issues.
And what's wild is how subtle they can be.
Yeah.
We often don't even realize they're pulling the strings.
First one, maybe the most famous, confirmation bias.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Our tendency to hunt for, interpret, and just generally favor information that backs up what we already think.
And ignore or downplay anything that doesn't fit.
Totally. You see it constantly. Think about any polarized debate, climate change, politics, whatever. Two people can read the same report.
And both come away saying, see, I was right.
Exactly. They selectively focus on the bits that confirm their existing view. It's not usually lying, it's filtering. I heard this stark example from intelligence analysis.
Oh, yeah.
A team got so convinced the specific group was behind some threat, they basically filtered out crucial clues pointing elsewhere. Almost led to a massive misstep.
Wow. The brain wasn't looking for the truth, just for confirmation.
It's like our beliefs create their own gravity, pulling in reinforcement. And the danger isn't just making bad choices.
It stops us listening, right? Mm-hmm. And it contributes to that us versus them mentality.
Definitely. It saves mental energy, protects the ego, but the cost can be huge. It can create these divides that feel impossible to bridge.
Okay, next up, the availability heuristic.
Right. This is where we judge how likely something is based purely on how easily examples pop into our heads. If it's vivid or recent, we assume it's more common.
Like plane crashes versus car accidents.
Perfect example. Plane crashes get massive dramatic news coverage. They stick in your mind.
So flying feels riskier, even though statistically...
Driving is far more dangerous. The vivid recall just overrides the data. Or think about local news, a few reports of car thefts nearby.
And suddenly you think there's a crime wave, even if the overall stats haven't changed much.
Exactly. The recent, easily recalled examples make you overestimate the risk. And analysts might do the same. Overplay the likelihood of one type of threat because a similar, vivid event happened recently elsewhere. Could lead to misallocating resources.
So it's not reality, it's what grabs our attention, the drama, the recency.
That's it. It biases our judgment, leads to poor estimates, bad calls, even unnecessary worry, like being terrified of sharks after watching Shark Week.
Makes sense. Then there's anchoring bias.
This one's powerful. It's our tendency to grab onto the first piece of information we get the anchor and let it overly influence everything that follows.
Like in negotiations, the first price mentioned.
Totally dominates, doesn't it? Even if it's way off base, it sets the benchmark. Everything else gets compared back to that initial anchor.
So if someone starts really high...
It makes their slightly lower offer seem reasonable, even if it's still high objectively. It happens in medicine, too. A doctor's first impression.
Can color how they see later symptoms?
It can subtly steer the diagnosis, yeah. Maybe they overlook things that don't fit that initial picture. Remember the first iPhone launch?
Vaguely.
They launched it at $599. Pretty high then quickly dropped it to $399.
Making the $399 seem like a bargain.
Exactly. The $599 was the anchor.
Yeah.
It framed the $399 as a fantastic deal. Clever anchoring.
That initial number just sticks, making it hard to judge things fairly afterwards. Powerful stuff. Okay, how about the self-serving bias?
Oh, this one's very human.
Yeah.
We love to take credit for our successes, right? Attribute them to our skill, our hard work.
Our brilliance.
Naturally. But when we fail...
Oh, that's bad luck. Unfair circumstances. Someone else's fault.
Precisely. It's great for protecting our ego. You ace the test. You're smart. You fail. The test was tricky, the teacher was bad.
Or in sports. You win, it's skill. You lose, the ref was blind.
You got it. It maintains that positive self-image, but it really gets in the way of learning from mistakes. Lots of finger-pointing can come from this one.
Yeah, we're all pretty good at managing our own PR, aren't we? Comforting, but not great for growth. Okay, last one for this section. The halo effect.
This is a fascinating one. It's when our overall impression of someone, often based on just one standout positive trait, spills over onto how we judge their other unrelated qualities.
So like, assuming someone attractive is also smart and kind.
Exactly. Without any actual evidence for the smartness or kindness. That initial positive trait, attractiveness, charisma, maybe even confidence, creates a sort of halo.
And that halo makes us see other positive things that might not even be there.
Right. It's huge in hiring. A candidate who's really likable and engaging might be perceived as more competent, even if their skills aren't actually better than someone less charismatic.
Wow. Research has even shown this affects grading, right?
Yeah, there were studies where students rated essays higher if they thought the author was attractive, regardless of the actual essay quality. The halo effect was that strong.
So one good impression can create this whole positive narrative in our minds. It influences hiring, voting, even how we judge writing. System 1 jumping to conclusions again.
Based on very limited data, it's incredibly efficient, but often inaccurate.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. These biases, they sound an awful lot like logical fallacies, but they're not exactly the same thing, are they?
That's a really important distinction to make. It's a common point of confusion, but getting it clear actually helps us think better.
So what's the difference?
Okay, so a cognitive bias is fundamentally an error in thinking. It's a glitch in how our brain processes information, remembers things, or assigns causes. It's internal, often unconscious. It's how our brain tends to work.
Right. The mental shortcuts, the internal programming flaws. So a logical fallacy.
A logical fallacy is an error in the argument itself. It's a flaw in the structure or the reasoning of an argument, regardless of who's making it or why. It's about the construction of the argument.
Okay, internal brain glitch versus external argument flaw, but they feel connected.
They are deeply connected. Think of it like this. Our cognitive biases often make us more likely to commit logical fallacies or to fall for them when others use them.
So the internal bias makes us vulnerable to the external flawed argument.
Exactly. Take the halo effect we just talked about. That's the cognitive bias. If we have a really positive impression of someone,
We like them, they seem smart.
right, we might then be more easily persuaded by them, even if their argument uses, say, an ad hominem fallacy.
Which is attacking the person, not the argument.
Correct. Our positive bias towards the speaker makes us less likely to notice or care that their argument is logically flawed because they're just attacking their opponent instead of the issue. The bias lowers our critical guard against the fallacy.
Okay, that clicks. If I like the messenger, I don't check the message as carefully. Give me another example.
Sure, think about groupthink. That's a bias, where a group prioritizes harmony and agreement over critical evaluation.
Everyone wants to get along so they don't rock the boat.
Right. Now that bias makes the group highly susceptible to the bandwagon fallacy.
Which is, everyone else believes it, so it must be true.
Precisely. Because the group is already primed by groupthink to seek consensus, they're much more likely to accept an idea just because it's popular within the group without really examining if it holds water logically. The bias opens the door for the fallacy.
That makes perfect sense. So spotting both the biases within ourselves and the fallacies in arguments gives us a much stronger toolkit for thinking clearly. We need to ask, is the argument sound? But also, am I predisposed to buy this for some internal reason?
That's the goal, a more complete critical awareness.
This is all fascinating, but honestly a bit daunting. Knowing all these ways our brains can trick us. So practically speaking, what can we actually do about it? How do we fight back?
That's the key question. Knowledge is great, but application is better. And thankfully, yes, there are concrete things we can do. It really has to start with becoming more aware of our own thinking, meta-awareness.
Right. The first big step is developing self-awareness and practicing introspection. You have to see the biases in yourself first.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. One tactic, and this is used seriously in fields like intelligence analysis, is keeping something like a bias diary.
A bias diary?
Yeah, or just doing regular self-debriefs. After a big decision, or even at the end of the day, take a moment. Ask, what assumptions did I lean on? What info did I maybe ignore or dismiss too quickly? Why? Did anything challenge my view that I just brushed off?
It sounds a bit like journaling, but focused on your thinking process.
Kind of. Over time, it helps you see your patterns, your go-to shortcuts. You start mapping your own cognitive landscape.
That's a really practical idea. Okay, so once you start seeing your patterns, what's next? You mentioned challenging assumptions and seeking diverse perspectives, breaking out of the echo chamber.
Exactly that. It's not enough to just notice the bias. You need to actively push against it. Go looking for information, for voices, for data that contradicts what you currently think.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It can be. That's why structured techniques help, like devil's advocacy. You deliberately assign someone, or even yourself, the job of poking holes in every assumption, every conclusion.
Not just to be difficult, but to stress test the thinking.
Precisely. Or red team analysis, bringing in completely fresh eyes to look for biases or flaws you're too close to see.
And you mentioned perspective taking earlier, trying to see it from other angles.
Yes. Really trying to embody different viewpoints. How would stakeholder X see this? What information do they have that I don't? It forces you outside your own confirmation bias.
All these basically force System 2 to wake up and engage with the uncomfortable stuff.
Makes the final conclusion much stronger.
Okay, third point, and this really leans into System 2. Implement structured thinking and deliberately slow down.
Right. This is where formal methods can be super helpful, especially for bigger decisions. The analysis of competing hypotheses, or ACH, is a classic.
How does that work, roughly?
Instead of latching on to one favorite theory, you first list all the plausible ones, even the long shots. Then you list all the evidence you have. And here's the key. You systematically assess each piece of evidence against each hypothesis. Does it support it? Does it contradict it?
So you're not just looking for confirming evidence.
You're actively looking at how well the evidence fits all possibilities, including the ones you don't initially like. Then you try to disprove hypotheses, see which ones hold up best against all the evidence, and state your conclusions with a clear sense of confidence, or lack thereof.
That sounds intense, but very thorough. What about for, everyday stuff?
Simpler tools work too. Checklists can be surprisingly effective. Just asking. Did I consider alternatives? Did I look for disconfirming evidence? Did I talk to someone who disagrees?
Slowing down.
Slowing down is huge. Resist that urge for instant answers on complex things and really try to separate facts from assumptions. What do I know versus what do I think I know? Some people even color code notes.
Like mental guardrails, forcing System 2 to do its job.
Exactly. Building a more objective foundation.
Okay, and the final piece seems to be about mindset. Embracing uncertainty and committing to continuous learning.
Yes. This might be the biggest shift for some. Uncertainty isn't failure. It's often just an accurate read of the situation. Admitting you don't know everything is actually a strength.
So using language like "this seems likely" instead of "this will happen."
Precisely. Reflecting your actual confidence level and being willing to revisit past decisions or analyses when new information comes in. Don't treat them as set in stone. Think of it like tending a garden you need to prune and adjust based on new growth or changing conditions.
So intellectual humility, being adaptable.
It's key. It leads to better, healthier decisions. Battling bias isn't really a battle you win once. It's more like ongoing maintenance, lifelong vigilance, and, yes, humility.
Wow. What a deep dive that was. We've really peeled back the layers on how our brains use these shortcuts, sometimes helpful, often not so much.
And hopefully shown that just being aware is that crucial first step.
Right. Understanding these patterns, confirmation bias, availability, anchoring, all of them, and then actively using strategies like self-reflection, seeking out different views, slowing down.
It really can sharpen your thinking, improve your decisions, and help you see the world and yourself just a little bit more clearly.
Absolutely. A powerful takeaway. So maybe something for you to think about this week. Knowing your brain loves these shortcuts, is there one decision, maybe one strongly held belief you could revisit? Maybe look at it with fresh eyes.
Perhaps even play devil's advocate with yourself.
Yeah. Just notice where your quick, intuitive system 1 might be jumping in and consciously invite your slower, more deliberate system 2 to take a closer look.